Hey, all you Holly weirdos. This vintage is definitely haunted. On today's episode of Holly Weird Paranormal, we deliver the special Halloween treat to you all. Join us on this two-part series as we do an audible paranormal investigation and quite possibly one of the most haunted vintage stores in Los Angeles, Space City Vintage, located in Little Tokyo, downtown Los Angeles. In 2019, owner Zach Vargas was given the opportunity to start his dream location, a vintage and music store dedicated to music, vintage, and rock and roll lovers. Little did he know of the other tenants that have been there for quite some time, quite possibly for almost 100 years, who would in some ways manifest not only to Zach, but also his workers. On this Halloween two-part series, grab your headphones, your K2, and of course that Selenite. And if that salt lamp is around, you definitely want to hold it tight because you're going to join myself and my friends, Ansley of Spooky Foodie and her partner Nate, our favorite psychics and mediums, Zachariah the Witch and Tanya Mercado, along with our BFFs, Martin the Comet and Matt Lytle, for one hell of a vintage, haunted, paranormal investigation. In part one, we sit down to interview Zach and his workers to figure out what and who is haunting his space, what they have seen, felt, and heard, along with finally getting another piece to this mysterious puzzle, the history. We sit down with Tony, the owner of the building, as we learn more and more about the history of not only this location, but Little Tokyo in its entirety. So what or who is haunting this vintage store? Could it be connected to Zach, to Tony, any of the workers, or something that is in the location or within the store itself? All we can say is that the accounts are real, the stories are real, but let's see if these ghosts are real. Join us for part one of Haunted Vintage. Let's get Holly weird with Space City Vintage, Los Angeles. Hey friends, before we deliver this delicious Halloween treat, we have a couple of other goodies that we definitely want to hand out. First and foremost, we have a couple of announcements. This coming November 3rd, yes, that's literally around the corner. That is the weekend of Dia de los Muertos. But that Sunday of November 3rd, Holly Weird Paranormal will be hosting a live show straight out of the city of San Fernando. Yes, the 818 has a lot of ghost stories and we're ready to share them for this live performance called Ghosts of San Fernando, where it's going to be held at 1984 Vintage and Horror, and the tickets are going to be $20 a pop. Doors open at 6, so you could come in, browse, and shop. There will be refreshments and spooky snacks. There will also be some goodie bags and a raffle. Is it wheelchair accessible? Absolutely. Is there parking available? Ample street parking is available and it's free. Free is definitely a good thing. We'll also have a special guest, Cody Furman of Cody Loves Horror, and she's going to be sharing some pretty awesome ghost stories and dishing out some history connected to some pretty historical locations in the 818. Where can you get tickets? Well, if you head on over to our Instagram at Holly Weird Paranormal, click on the link on our bio. It will take you directly to Eventbrite to purchase tickets. Or you could go directly to Eventbrite, type in Ghosts of San Fernando, Holly Weird Paranormal, and you will find the little link right there. Spaces are limited. I know we have 14 tickets still available, which is really nice. And it's going to be a great event. You guys are going to love 1984 Vintage and Horror. Like, this is a really cool place. If you love spooky things, nostalgic things, vintage threads, you name it, they have it. It's perfect. They also have like this cute little like gremlin replica, vintage video games, vintage Halloween decor, and even a life-size Michael Myers, which will be perfect for pictures and everything. There's a lot of Instagram worthy pics, locations within this area. So it's going to be a fantastic night. Our Chicago peeps, if you're in and around Chicago, Illinois, our friends over at the Quite Unusual podcast are going to be hosting a paranormal prom. Yes, with Windy City Paranormal Festival. Holy Ectoplasm. This is going to be held at the Punch Bowl Social on October the 32nd, which is technically November 1st because Halloween never dies, right? Please join hosts Nicole and Noelle from the Quite Unusual podcast for a prom night. Okay, where can I get tickets? You can head on over to windycityparafest.com. Use our code HollyWeird to receive $5 off your tickets. A portion of the proceeds do go to greaterthanhate.org. All right, can't make it to both events. Don't worry, we're going to summon another one here. On December 13th through the 15th in historic downtown Jackson, California, there will be the Spirits of Christmas presented by Grim Life Entertainment and Paraflix Paranormal. Visit some of Jackson, California's most haunted locations with special guests, Ghost Brothers, Ghost Hunters Daryl Martson, our friend Patty Negri, and Tawny Lewis. Your girl will also be a part of this paranormal festival. I will be a part of a panel. It's going to be a great and spooky time because Halloween doesn't stop in October. The haunts, the spirits still continue throughout November and, of course, December. There's going to be seances, book signings, children's area, bounce house. I mean, there's psychic readings, a ghost investigation, workshops, you name it. It's going to be spooky, ooky, and quite creepy, but it's going to be a fabulous time. Head on over to grimlifellc.com for more information and for tickets. And finally, we're going to be heading on over to the Windy City Paranormal Festival along with many of our friends. We are so excited for this one, guys. This is going to be a paranormal fest like no other. It's going to be held in Chicago, Illinois. The dates are June the 12th through the 14th. It's going to be a wild time. There's going to be vendors. There's also going to be another paranormal prom. Come on. A ton of our friends are going to be there, such as What's Up Weirdo podcast, our friends John E.L. Tenney and Jessica Napick, along with our friends Nicole and Noelle of Quite Unusual podcast, and Zachariah the Witch, Intuitive Tawny, so much more. Even Adam Berry of Kindred Spirits. It's going to be a very, very eclectic and also delicious time, of course. Once again, it's Windy City Parafest, June 12th through the 14th of 2025. For more information, follow at Windy City Parafest on Instagram. If you are looking for tickets and to make arrangements for your trip, then head on over to windycityparafest.com. That's windycityparafest.com for more details and for ticket information. Okay, our haunted little boo bears, if you love Hollyweird Paranormal, please follow us on our Instagram and Facebook at Hollyweird Paranormal. We're also on X under at HWP podcast. You can also venture to our website, hollyweirdparanormal.com, for more information. If you want to read our bios, catch up on past episodes and even seasons, you can join our little Patreon page. If you head on over to patreon.com/hollyweirdparanormal for more information, and for as little as $1 or more per month for however many months you wish to support the podcast to help this Hollyweird train keep on a-chucking along, then you can do so by heading over to that website and also donating to the podcast. You will be entered into our secret podcast society of Saturday Night Ghost Club, where we collect ghost stories from our friends, acquaintances, and neighbors, and even strangers off the street. Yes, everybody has a ghost story, and it doesn't stop here with Hollyweird Paranormal. It continues on Patreon. You'll also be given access to our interviews, our behind the scene videos, and so much more. Head on over to patreon.com/Hollyweird Paranormal. Now I present to you Haunted Vintage. In December of 2022, me, Bryce Mitchell-Williams, our friends Tanya Mercado, who was also our psychic and medium on this investigation, along with our friend Matt Lytle of Ghost Loop, traveled to the East West Players Theater to interview and investigate this location. The stories and accounts were quite unbelievable, but what we endured and what we experienced was definitely unexplainable. but it paralleled with everything that people who have worked and even toured around this location have experienced. If you haven't listened to those episodes, then we highly recommend that you listen to Investigation at the East-West Players Theater, Part 1 and Part 2. We really dive into the history of not just the East-West Players Theater, but the entire location and area of Little Tokyo, located here in downtown Los Angeles. It was there in that investigation that we were given a tip from Andy, the head of the theater. You must go talk to the folks at Space City Vintage. The stories that came out of there were even more astonishing than the stories of East-West Players. You must go and speak with the owner. You wouldn't believe the stories that he has and the things that he has seen along with his workers. Little did I know of the history and haunted history that are attached to Little Tokyo. You see, as we always say in our podcast, in order to begin, we need to go back. It's always important to go back to history. We mentioned this in our East-West Players Theater episode, but in order to begin, we need to go back to World War II. It started in 1942 with an executive order by the name of 9066. It required the forced removal of more than 120,000 Japanese Americans and people of Japanese descent from the West Coast. Residents of Little Tokyo were given 6 days, to dispose of their belongings and to move to relocation centers, otherwise known as internment camps. The forced removal left Little Tokyo in ruins. It was literally a ghost town with empty streets, empty buildings, empty apartments and hotels, empty businesses, and cars and bicycles that laid abandoned. The empty homes of former Japanese American residents were soon occupied by Black families from the South, nearly quadrupling the neighborhood's population. Thus, this area became known as Bronzeville. But this still left a psychological and physical impact. The internment camps permanently changed the psychology of the Japanese community. The internment camps also permanently changed the physical makeup of Little Tokyo. But for a newcomer entering those streets of Little Tokyo, you wouldn't think of it. But if you stop and read a lot of its plaques, you'll learn a lot about its history as a reminder of what happened there, but also as a cautionary tale that we should never let history repeat itself in such a way. Little Tokyo is now one of 3 remaining historic Japantowns left in the nation. It's almost 140 plus years old. It's the second oldest neighborhood in Los Angeles, and one of only 14 designated California cultural districts. It's home to some of our nation's most important Japanese American institutions. Little Tokyo has been literally dramatically reshaped by World War II. Japanese American incarceration camps and decades of redevelopment and displacement still echo within the walls of Little Tokyo. Yet Little Tokyo has and still continues to be the cultural home for Southern California Japanese American community. And it's historically a multi-ethnic community. And that's where it leads us to Space City Vintage. Now, before we enter the stories of Space City Vintage, along with its ghost stories, I do have a word from the owner, almost like a little message. Now, I know our podcast has been capturing the ears of other paranormal enthusiasts and people scouting out new locations to investigate. Now, according to the owner, this is a very busy shop, and he's a very busy man. We were very lucky to be given access into his store. But with that said, please come in to shop and not hunt for ghosts. Now, the idea of embarking on a paranormal investigation in this haunted vintage shop in the heart of Little Tokyo, Los Angeles, is certainly a thrilling prospect. There is a sense of mystery and intrigue surrounding the shop, as well as the potential for a first-hand encounter with the paranormal. The history of the shop, coupled with its location in such a culturally rich area, adds an extra layer of interest to ghost hunts. As a researcher and investigator myself, I cannot help but feel drawn to the opportunity to explore the unknown and potentially make contact with spirits from the past. but also making those connections with the living. And that actually starts with our friend Ansley of Spooky Foodie. In our earlier days of investigating together, we decided to tour Little Tokyo in April of 2023. Not only did we tour Little Tokyo, but we surely stuffed our faces by hitting the Little Tokyo grocery store, if you know, you know, and then crossing the street to Fukatsu-do for some delicious mochi. Soon, we pick up our mochi and head a few doors away to Space City Vintage off of 1st Street. You could tell just by passing the buildings that these buildings date back way, way back. We soon find the entrance to Space City and are greeted by an old staircase. Instantly, as I'm walking up the staircase, I notice that there's 2 mirrored walls facing each other, an indication of what could be the possible culprit of a lot of the hauntings here. There's a belief that if you face 2 mirrors together, it could create a vortex of some sort. So we mark that as a possibility for the activity that is going on in this location. But as we make our way up, we're instantly greeted by a sea of vinyl records that are located in the middle of the shop. Surrounding this one particular area are racks and racks of vintage clothing. Everything from sweaters, shirts, suits, dresses, skirts, you name it, it's there. You could tell that the space is also used for other makeshift shops. There's a gentleman in the back who is a leathersmith, and on the opposite corner is Black Sun Tattoo. We'll get to them very shortly. But we're also in awe of the collection of punk rock, metal, and even concert tees that just line up the wall perfectly. If you know myself and Ansley, you know we're going to be a little direct, and we found the 2 workers that we're going to be direct with. We make our way to the front, and we instantly ask the 2 workers behind the counter, "You got any good ghost stories connected to this location?" They smile, chuckle a bit. One said, "Not really, but I've heard a lot of things, especially from the owner." And the other gentleman said, "You might want to talk to the guy in Black Sun Tattoo. He might have a story or 2. I was instantly attracted to the back anyways. There was something about this back area of the shop that was pulling me in. Ansley felt the same way. There, standing by Black Sun Tattoo, is Stefan, the owner, and also the artist. We started a conversation with Stefan and asked him immediately if he's had any experiences in the shop. He said he's had quite a bit, even his assistant. We're then given the information to the owner, Zach Vargas of Space City. We're asked to email him. That's the best way to communicate. So we did. And a week and a half later, we end up back at Space City to interview Zach. Zach was exactly how I imagined him. Pure rock and roll. You look at his tattoos on his body, they'll definitely tell you many stories. And you know for a fact that this guy has many stories. Zach is a true Angelino, grew up in the streets of Los Angeles, and worked all over the place, specifically in downtown LA, in the garment district, and garment factories off of Alameda and in Vernon. He's led a pretty tough life, but his love for music, specifically rock and roll, 50s fashion, and even bikes and cars, would soon change his trajectory of his journey. You see, in the early 1990s, Zach got involved with a lot of artists and bands. He would end up dressing them, one of them being Billy Idol. And soon his reputation grew. It blew up. He was the go-to guy for pieces, specifically 1940s and 50s pieces. He definitely had an eye for fashion, but he also had a mind for business. While working in the garment district, one day Zach came across a gentleman, Tony Spurl. At first he thought Tony was homeless. He was kind of living out of an RV, helping stray cats find food and shelter around the neighborhood. And Zach just felt a connection with Tony one day. They struck up a conversation, and soon every single day, Zach would go and spend time with Tony. They would share lunch together, stories. Tony became Zach's friend. They instantly had a connection. One day, while they were talking, Zach mentions to Tony that he had a dream, that he wanted to open up his own shop, a vintage store. But just not any type of vintage store. A store that was going to be kind of like a school of rock and roll, where people would come in and reinvent themselves or look for specialty pieces, but also a place where he can hold small concerts and get-togethers, gatherings. You see, by day, it could be a full functioning, running vintage store, but by night, it could be a rockabilly heaven. He would invite bands. All of his connections and friends who were in bands can come in and play. You see, Zach didn't want to just build a shop just for people to come in and buy things. He actually wanted to build a community for musicians, for artists, for everyone that wanted to come in and not feel different. And it turned out on one day while Tony and Zach were talking, Tony mentions to Zach that the business in his building had actually left. It was a weed growing business, and now the space on the second floor of his building is now dormant. Perfect for someone like Zach to come in and start an open shop. The only problem is, Zach had no money to put down for such a place, especially for such a location in Little Tokyo, especially with the sky-high leases. Tony then tells Zach not to worry, that he just wanted him to move in and help him grow his business. At first, Zach couldn't believe it. This was just too good to be true. But Tony assured him that this was the right time for him to start, and he needed to start now. So Zach took him up on the offer and moved in. But it was going to cost him a lot of work. It was going to cost him a lot of muscle and elbow grease, and it wasn't going to be easy. The place was old and needed a facelift. So Zach was definitely game to come in and build shop. But little did Zach know that this was going to be the beginning of not only his entrepreneurial journey, but also his paranormal journey. Because the one minor thing that Tony forgot to mention to Zach were the ghosts.
When I moved in here, there were 7 rooms. Those walls. Divided, yeah. They were growing weed. I hired guys from Home Depot to help me remove the vinyl. There's one over there, I'm where she's at, and the other guy's right here. And this guy was complaining to the guy over there, hey, what the fuck, where are my tools? You took them. Say, no. And then I looked at him, he hasn't moved, man.
Yeah.
Say, well, they're not here. A chisel and some other tool. And I go, no, he hasn't gone over there, man. He goes, well, I felt that and they're not here. I know he took them. I go look for them. He's looking around. And they were all the way in the fucking corner over there. And I saw this with my own eyes. I'm like, dude, this is not happening. I saw him with the tools. It was a chisel, and then we have a torch. We have to hit up the glue to lift it.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, and it's just a lot of little things like that, you know.
Yeah.
I went through like 10 different workers, a group of workers from Home Depot. They didn't know each other, and they all told me the same story. So I started to I was new to the place. I started dude, what's up?
Near the end, didn't you have a core group of people that didn't change for a while? Like that's how you were able to finish. There was certain people that changed out, and they were more.
At the end, I did it with me and my cousin.
Yeah, I was to say because there's whatever was here that they didn't want those extra people here.
Well, what happened? That wall was purple. When I painted, they didn't want me to mess with the place.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I started thinking, you know what? These people don't want me here. Because when I started painting, things happen. And I feel things, and I didn't feel comfortable. I got dizzy. One time I was sweeping right here, and I got really, really dizzy, man. Really something. And I'm healthy, you know. I mean, I eat good. I wasn't drinking. I didn't do drugs, anything.
Yeah.
I got really dizzy, and a lot of times, I'm here by myself.
Yeah.
And I was feeling things. So I used to say to them, you know, I'm not here to take your place. I'm just gonna clean it.
Yeah.
It's your place, do whatever. But when I got really scared is that all a group of different people were telling me the same fucking story, man. And they didn't know each other. Because sometimes the downtown Home Depot didn't have things, so I had to go to Figueroa, and I pick up people right there. Different groups, even and off the 60 freeway, the new Home Depot. I picked up people there, and they told me that we don't want to work. 2 days in. Because I used to lock them, bring lunch, whatever, there's water. I'll be back in a few hours.
Yeah.
They told me we don't want to work.
Right.
It was crazy.
When Zach first moved into this location, he brought in workers to start renovations ASAP. It's just that the workers couldn't stay and work. That was the problem. In the beginning, it started out with small things that were going missing, like their tools. There's a thing that was happening, a phenomenon known as apportation. Things that would disappear and reappear in different places. This was happening quite often. The activity grew so much to the point where the workers couldn't work anymore. And according to Zach, these were men that needed money. They would stand out by the Home Depot and certain hardware stores in and around downtown looking for work. It just baffled him that for these individuals who needed money would turn down work. But it just so happened that one of the workers ended up telling Zach, it's not that we just don't want to work. We just can't work in your building because your building is haunted and it's scaring us to the point where we can't work there anymore. But it didn't stop there. Not only were they having things happen to them, but the workers would eventually see something that would scare them away for good.
So
Why
see
two?
right there where you're standing?
Yeah. As I'm standing here.
See right there?
Yeah.
See, this is original.
Okay.
You can tell.
The stairs
Those
are
are
different.
original.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
New.
I did it.
Okay.
So I was here. I was actually right here. Okay.
Yeah. Working
And
on
there's
it.
the guy right there holding these things, and I'm with the gun trying to, put it together.
Yeah.
And then this guy right here, I'm right here.
Yeah.
And this guy right here, he's like this, and then he's like tapping
Yeah.
me, right? And I go,
Yeah.
what? He goes, look. And I'm right here. And I look and see what the speakers.
Yeah.
I saw
Whoa.
like a shadow.
Yeah.
It's just holding the hand, the neck, like looking at us.
Oh my god. I
Like
just got
this,
chills. You said it.
black.
Yeah, black.
And I'm like,
Completely black.
what the fuck?
And it changes shape.
Yeah.
Right there.
So it was like on the
Go see it. Yeah.
Right here, right here.
Yeah.
But it's by then, the ceiling was black. I painted it white. It got lost, but I can see. It was like a split second, dude.
It's dense. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not wispy.
It was a
it's
split
dense.
second right there. That was a split second. But I'm like, dude, no, fuck no.
Yeah.
What
I'm on top.
the pose it was? What did it look like face
See those
wise?
things?
Just a shadow?
No, like this, like.
Oh, so the
this.
head was
You
down.
can feel, you can see, like this
It's
and
holding,
like this,
it's looking.
like it's looking.
Like a gargoyle.
And then I look, and I say, fuck no, I'm not scared. There was a ladder right there because we were removing nails. I got up there and I went all around, nothing. And the guy is like, you saw what I saw? He's, yes.
Did he want to quit?
He's like, fuck, what was that? I go, man, I don't know, man. I always play, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that experience, really bad, man. So we fixed that, whatever.
You fixed that years later. I'm just kidding.
I stopped.
You're like, we're gonna pause
my
on
shop,
this.
That's crazy.
I know.
Downstairs was up here before. My kids were playing one time. Windows were open. It's windy, but not that fucking windy. So my kids were running around. My boy was chasing my little girl. And then they were going, this is the same setup. You remember?
Yeah, I remember the setup is all like clothes over
So
here,
they were
racks.
Going around in the middle of the racks. This rack, this is by the window. My daughter told me that when she was right here waiting for her brother to run, he's running, something like that. And my daughter like, what? By then, her brother came here and he saw the whole thing. So my daughter came and hugged me. Dad. Well, what happened? She explained to me. I go, no, it's the wind. It's the wind. And then I didn't let my boy tell me in front of her because he's older. I go, what happened, Papa? Tell me. He goes, that thing moved. Somebody moved it. I said, I'm not crazy. I'm scared. I'm like, fuck, really? Yeah, so I told my daughter it was a wind. She was younger, so she believed it. Also, I have these tracks right here, and we have hats. And I sometimes I wake up in the morning, open the door, and there was hats on the floor. Different times, and there was nobody, dude. I have the camera.
Moving parts, literally.
Yeah, and then the records.
The records, yeah.
The records are fixed like that, and then the next day, sometimes there was like somebody was shopping, and they call them, let's leave, and they left them right there. And one is specific one. I forgot the name. Polanka or something.
On a day where Zach didn't have enough workers, he ended up rolling up his sleeves and getting to work with whoever was willing to work with him on this specific day, on the stairs of the entrance of his new vintage store. One of his workers motions to Zach that he sees something sitting on the beams of the ceiling. It's knelt down almost as though it's kind of crunched down like a gargoyle. It was a shadow person. A dense being sitting on the beams of the ceiling, looking down at Zach and the workers. At first, Zach played it off as though he didn't see anything. He didn't want to scare any more workers away. He couldn't afford it. He needed them to stay. So he played it off and said, I didn't see anything. But he knew damn well what he saw. It was witnessed by 3 of the other workers he had with him that day. But the activity wouldn't stop there. It continued on. And this time it continued with his kids. While Zach would open shop and work on his store, he would bring his kids along to help. They would run around the store, kind of hide within the racks of the clothing, until one day his son saw something that he couldn't explain. It scared him. It wasn't a shadow person, but Zach would soon learn that he was going to be dealing with just more than one entity in his shop.
So tell us what happened 4 years ago. What did you see?
Well, this is when the shop was like, it was not built, so it was like very like, it was a lot, like it was not built at all, so it was like very trashy and all that stuff. So we came out here, they were fixing the floors and everything like that, and we came out here, and it was like alone, just me and my sister. And we came out here and we were kids, so we were just like getting tools and like crushing boxes. And then after, out of nowhere, like the racks like moved, like a rack like moved. Like the whole rack just moved out of nowhere.
Not just the clothes, but the entire
the rack. The rack moved a little bit. And then I heard whispering in my ear, and I got so scared I froze. And like, I never done this before. I told my sister, come here and hold my hand, like hold my hand. And I said I heard whispering, and we ran like through the door over there. And we went, and then I told him what happened and my mom.
What was can you make out what the whispering was? Was it a male or a female?
A male.
It was a male.
Yeah, it was just like mumbling, like whispering. Like I couldn't make out what it was saying. I was just like frozen. I was like, what just happened? I was
you know that it was weird because you guys were by yourself here, right?
Yeah.
Nate, can you do me a favor? I don't know if it's or Zach. I mean, like, can you try moving a rack to see how heavy it is? Let's see. You need, that's heavy. Like, you need, like, an arm, like, muscle. That wasn't just, like, the floor or someone coming up the stairs and it's shifting. So that's crazy that you heard that. And then you heard the male's voice. Did it sound angry? Did it sound...
No, it was just whispering, like, mumbling in my ear, like, saying something. I don't know. I froze, and I just... Once my sister grabbed my hand, we started like speed walking, and then we just ran.
I can remember coming out with a baseball bat. Yes, looking. Yes. And then I put them aside and asked them the story, and then I asked my daughter the story, and they're mad.
Yeah.
And they didn't have time to like, okay, let's slide.
Now, I think there was it your daughter or your son that saw the little girl?
No, this is Regal, his cousin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was here, and he told me he was really scared. Were you drunk? And he said, no, I saw it.
Can you recount what he saw, like what happened?
He said he saw a lady by the kitchen, like this, and then there was a little like roaches staring like this. he didn't even get the beer. He said, no, I don't want, he ran. And his uncle got mad at him. Hey, you little bitch, you didn't get the beer. He goes, no, I didn't want to get no beer. I saw this. And I stayed like, what the hell? Like, I was shocked.
That's insane. He said the kitchen was in the break room, or?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Really messy. But that's what we're doing. Another time I'll let you guys do a second part or something.
And we actually do come back for that part 2 a year later. That will actually be saved for our second part to the series. And let's just say that investigation becomes a little more intense. We move on to our next interview, and that is with Stefan of Black Sun Tattoo. Now, before we interview him, what is there to collect based off of what we know so far about Space City Vintage? Well, we know that the phenomenon of apportation is occurring, the disappearance and reappearance of things. Now, we also have full body apparitions, starting with the shadow figure that was seen on the beams in the ceiling. It seems like it just doesn't stop there. It just keeps on occurring. More apparitions, but where are they coming from? Soon people will start to notice an apparition of a young girl between the ages of 6 and 7, followed by another one of a middle-aged African-American woman. Hell, we'll even know that the business next door, a restaurant, the workers there will call her La Señorita. But soon we'll also learn, especially in part 2, of the man. Now that one is pretty intense. He, in the beginning, is oftentimes heard and felt, but soon he will start to show himself to more people, and he's a little more aggressive. But let's move on with Stefan's story and his experiences, along with the experiences of his friends and workers.
So this is when we had like a show. We're having concerts here. There's a lot of people do that. People shopping, people here in front of here for the music. The bands are here. So my ex-girlfriend was my desk girl.
Okay.
So she would have been sitting right there. And from here, you can see most of the shop except for this, the record wall where the changing rooms are.
Yeah.
So she is also very prone to seeing things. Like she's seen ghosts her whole childhood, like tons of stories she told me. But the one from here, she's sitting there at my desk and she saw like a little girl, walk from basically without like shoe benches over to the right this way. And she was confused because nobody seemed to be like paying attention or like noticing the girl.
Interesting.
And she was keen on that kind of stuff, like I said. So she was like, that's weird. And she's also a very shy girl, so like she wouldn't even like get up and investigate, but she did. She went over and she was looking for the kid because they went this way. And they didn't come out. Like she waited a little bit, they didn't come out that side. So she was like, that's odd that no one's paying attention. So she got up to go over there and look for this girl. And she wasn't there. She went around the clothing racks.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Stefan, what have you experienced personally yourself? Like, you are, from what we've spoken in the past, like, you're pretty sensitive to a lot of things around, just in general. But what have you felt and sensed from the beginning of you working here till now?
Well, at Space City, I actually like I haven't had a lot of my own experiences aside from occasionally I'll hear like footsteps above my desk area, but I always just chalk that up to somebody having roof access because I know someone does, and that's not like poignant enough for me to be like, oh, that's something, Especially like I'm usually the one who's here latest if I have a late client. The lights are all off in the front of the shop, and there's a weird feeling, but I've never seen anything or experienced anything other than that like an uneasiness where I'm like, gee, I hope I don't see anything because I really don't want to, because it would just change the way that I work and it would change like my whole like being here,
But you are witnessing people having experiences, like you're sharing that with them, because that whole story about the woman who saw that little girl and you were witnessing like her having this and her sharing that with you. And what's really interesting is that she didn't know about the history, right?
Right.
So that's really, really astonishing to know, like for someone to come in and not know anything about this place and now is seeing an apparition of a little girl. Could you tell me if she described her, or like what she looked like? It was just a little girl just like wandering. Does she not look like this time period, I guess?
I don't think she did look this time here, and I think that she might have even been like a little transparent.
Oh, shit. There you go.
Yeah.
You told me the story about the skull.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh, the skull. Oh, that's
Skull.
right. I remember that. Remember that?
Yep.
Oh, dude.
So, other story. When we were painting my shop black, we took all the stuff off the walls so we could paint everything. And there's a big red skull that we have in there. It's paper mache hanging on the wall. Yeah, you can take a look.
Yeah, let's go look.
Let's go look. It's this one.
Well, there you go. Look at the Bobo.
It's not as heavy as it looks. It looks like it's made of wood. It's paper mache.
It's like 3 pounds.
Yeah, it's pretty lightweight, but it's big, it's hefty. So took everything off. It was a mess over here, but we put that skull be bleeding on this tree. You would have had it hang on there on the floor, just for the time being. And when we came in the next day, like literally maybe 6 hours later, we left at 4 a.m. Came back pretty early to finish painting. It had not only fallen, because that would be normal, right? It'd be normal, but it was over here. This was like 5 or 6 feet away.
Yeah.
On this mat where we have the bands play. And I mean, it's not a ball. Like that thing wouldn't roll. If it fell over, it would probably stay or it'd wobble just a little bit, but it wouldn't move over here.
Yeah, it was
Right,
It doesn't
that's
make
far.
sense for it
It
to.
was right here and it was facing down.
Yeah. So we're a little bit confused about that. And then, I mean, that same night. Right?
Yeah, there's the same night that they did that and that happened. I told him I had some badass fucking bad dreams. Like they were pushing me, trying to pull me.
What?
Like 6, 7 shadows, and I was shaking, trying to fight them, trying to, fight. And then I just woke up all like weird. My lady, what's going on with you? You hear me?
They were trying to grab you?
Yeah, like grab me, like to pull me up.
That's so weird.
Yes, like literally like pulling me out. Like the movie Ghost?
Yeah.
Same thing. Whoever's seen here, man.
The two entities that we've heard stories of that other people have experienced here.
So he painted this black. He knew a skull that is in there, right there.
You can go see it.
Found it over there, facing down. The same day when he killed me, I told him, hey man, I had some bad dreams and like not normal shit, like shadows. Remember the movie Ghost? Like when they're trying to take him and he's fighting. No. Same thing happened to me, and that was the same time he was painting the air. And I think that they get bothered when you try to restore something, because when there was 7 rooms here, 6 rooms that we're growing with. Each fucking room, I experienced something with the workers. And I stay here, and sometimes I used to get scared, like, yeah, I'm gonna call my lady, I'm gonna spend the night over there.
Okay.
But that night, it's funny because he told me about that, and then I told him, yeah, that's bad rooms.
And it makes sense. I mean, if one of them, is a child that some people have seen, that my or partner had seen, that they would be uncomfortable with change. It's like,
Of course.
this has been white the whole time.
Exactly. It's a lot going on, and I mean, for them to not be used to all of this change,
Plus,
retaliation is pretty severe.
you can see the old archway, that was a massive doorway there where the restroom is.
Yeah.
And that big plank of wood over, that whole thing was something. Right?
It was a lift. They used to bring stuff. He explained to you.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
And that he would be Tony Sparrow. He is the one that would pretty much explain the history of the building dating back to the late 1800s and what it used to be throughout the many, many decades. Tony would actually be the first to witness and experience a lot of the hauntings of this building. And here's his story.
Tony, your great-great-grandfather built this place, and
Great-grandfather.
great-grandfather.
So he was an immigrant from Bohemia. He was Jewish. He left Bohemia at 9 years old, was put on a mule boat because they were killing Jews.
Yeah.
And allegedly, the story goes that some of his brothers had gotten picked up, maybe killed, we don't know. That was the original story. He goes to an uncle in Philadelphia. They didn't get along. He learned the trade of a blacksmith, came across the country, and wound up here in 1861. He then exits this place in the 70s. Okay, so in 1861, he was a blacksmith where LA City Hall is.
Oh, wow.
Okay, on that block. And he exits Los Angeles and goes to Australia. Okay, for the gold rush. It's something I didn't even know. I found this out about 30 years ago. So he goes to the Australian gold rush, not to pan for gold, but as a blacksmith. So he's making everything that they need to get the gold out. So he's got this money, he comes, he buys this place, or he actually builds this place, which is actually 3 different buildings. So the first floor was built to that wall. That's the actual end of the building, but they tagged on another part of it. And then they put on the upstairs, and I'll show you in a minute if we can find it. There are actually arched like columns in brick in the back that we saw, and research at the Seaver Center of Southwest History at USC.
Yeah.
Lists on the Sanborn maps. These are really colorful, wonderful maps. Lists that this was a carriage shop upstairs. So they had a crane and they would lift the carriages, roll them in here, paint them, work on them, take them out, and then drop them again.
That is great.
Okay, so that's part of that.
Yeah, and the archives, it said 1905. So I wasn't sure if that meant that's when it was built or the first
Now,
business was established.
here's some stuff that I've learned
Okay.
doing the research of LA. I have my grandfather's oldest sister died at 9 months old. Okay, there's no death certificate on her. She's over here at Evergreen Cemetery. Okay, there's one date on it, so I thought she died on the day she was born, but she wasn't. They had the records; it was 9 months. There's no death certificate. The County of Los Angeles didn't start recording stuff normally until 1907.
That's really good to know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I found that out. So anyway, he runs his business. Then he builds another building over on Winston Street, across from the LA Mission. That building is still there, but we don't own it. Then after that, this became like the meeting center for the Japanese community up here.
Yeah.
They call it a perfunctory association, which is like a state. People from a certain state. And then at some point, because some guy showed up 10 years ago, Chinese guy, his father and family lived up here, went to Belmont High School. Oh yeah. And like that, and it's been a dance hall. It was part of the Tokyo Kaikan restaurant for 30 years.
That's what it was. That's what I kept on seeing. There was pictures in the 30s, and I could see it said restaurant, and it was Kai, and I couldn't recount the next. Yes, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Okay, so then it was for a period of time. It was called Michi's Baby City. It was a front for babysitting in the Japanese community. Okay, so that got shut down. And then my father had passed. I was fighting over this building with my sister. Okay, we're in a war, and I actually moved in here. My ex-wife, we were still married at the time. She moved to Arizona. I moved up here. I turned this into like a kid's playground. And then one time I was helping Johnny Erickson Tata from Wheels for the World, the wheelchair check. There were like 300 wheelchairs in here. They needed to store them. I put them in here. I mean, just like that. And it's been also, we were growing weed in here. This was a weed operation for about 3.5 years. And then he shot.
That's why it's so haunted.
Yeah. Well, no. So here's the haunted, the thing about the haunting. So I'm here for years, right? I'm running I'm huge in animal rescue. My mom was with a woman by the name of Ella Cummings, who's famous in her own right. She's the woman that started to spay and neuter stuff in the city of LA. And my mom was with her. And I've been in animal rescue and dealing with, I've been to feed cats here later in Skid Row. But so I had all these animals here. I mean, tons of them.
Really?
Okay, because it's a typical thing. Oh, please help me, I can't take care of all the cats. You know, what's one more?
Yeah.
What's one more and you wind up with 30 cats for reals, okay? And it just doesn't work.
It's true. Go to my neighborhood.
So, what happened was, this place is not insulated. So in the winter, it gets extremely cold, and in the summer, it gets extremely hot. It's like a brick oven, right?
Yeah.
So way in the back, there's like an impromptu, behind that wall, is an impromptu like kitchen. It's very narrow and tight. And I had a hot plate. So I had a hot plate. I was doing some stuff. And I had put down a plate. And then the sink was here. And I normally wear army jackets. And I had this army jacket on. And I turn. And as I turn, the plate flies into the wall. And I was like, well, that's unusual. It was kind of a heavy plate. And, you know, I'm looking and I'm going, something doesn't add up here. So I'm, you know, doing this routine, right? With my, and it's not working. I was going, because I'm too high.
Yeah.
It's like, how did I hit this plate? It was just spooky. And I was like, well, I'll just let it slide, right? Then another thing that happened, there's a room in the back over there. That's where I was sleeping with my animals. I get up one morning and there are bathrooms in the back. And I had one of those handicap chairs. It's made out of aluminum and plastic that old people like sit in to take a shower.
Yeah.
I had it in the bathroom because I put stuff on it, right? And I come out, and the chair is thrown 8 feet out of the bathroom. And one of the rubber things on one of the legs is pulled off. I don't know if you've ever tried to pull one of those off of a leg.
No.
They don't come off,
So
right?
it's hard to do, yeah.
Okay, so this place did get burglarized. I almost got killed in here.
Oh my God.
It's another story, but for it. So I'm thinking, while I'm sleeping, somebody broke into the place. Yeah. So I'm immediately checking the place, right? I'm checking the windows. I run down here to the front to make sure the door's locked. I go through the whole, nothing, dude. Absolutely nothing. And it's like, okay, this is spooky. That's weird. Next one that really put it over the top, that got Larry Muntz to come out here. I got these 30 cats running around out here. I kept those doors. There's a door behind that door. I kept it shut. And so the cats are running around. They're being crazy. I had a bad day.
Yeah.
And I opened the door. There were no cats in the back. And I had a bookshelf against the wall. And it had been there for like 5 years. Never moved. Nobody's on it. Nothing. And I start screaming, God damn it. I'll put every last one of you cats to sleep. I did. I was pissed. And the bookshelf just fell over like that. And it was one of those moments, again, because I really don't believe in ghosts. It was like, okay, this is really, really weird. And then just being flip, I just said out loud, I'm not gonna hurt the cats. It's okay. You know, and then there was another time that I actually got up and I said out loud in here, look, I'm really occupying the back. It's a big building. You occupy the front, I'll take the back, and we won't bother each other.
Yeah.
But the story gets better.
I mean, I'm in. I know. I mean, compromises.
Okay, so where Danny Lethal is with Lethal Amounts was the largest Japanese porno video store in the United States. Yay! It's true.
Porn.
And the guy that owned it was really weird. He got kicked out of the country, and it was a nightmare. He was a nightmare. But what happened was, so me and one of my girlfriends were cleaning it out, and some really weird stuff sort of happened there. So there is a floor in between the first and second floor, a mezzanine in the back.
No way.
Off of there. There is.
Show us. That's insane.
I will. Okay. So we're getting these old videos, and I'm stacking them up, getting them out, cleaning the place out. And my girlfriend's dog, whose name was Sophie, and I had a dog named Sophie. Sophie kept going up into the mezzanine, and my girlfriend was she needs a blessing. She has stage 4 cancer right now, so she needs a healing touch. But so she was going up there, and she's talking to her dog, and I just think the dog was right there. She's pulling him back, and then I come to find out she sees a man up there in the mezzanine in the darkness. I said, yeah, you're really funny. This is really cute. No, hang on, it gets better. So maybe like a week later, guys that had worked there show up, And it's like 2:00 in the morning, and they come. One of them comes to the door with some downstairs, to the door with some of his friends, and this one guy goes, "Hey, I want to see the ghosts." And I say, "Routine. Oh, this is cute. Yeah, okay." And he goes, "No, man, I want to see the ghosts." And I said to the guy that's working there, I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, there's a guy in the mezzanine." And I went. So I pick up the phone, I call Shelly, because Shelly, you ain't gonna believe this, what I'm hearing, right? That you really did see it. She goes, "I told you I did," right? I thought she was drunk. But she wasn't. Okay, so, and then they tell me about, get this, the very, very old man and very, very old woman, both of them were white, okay, Caucasians, that would stand in the back in one of the real explicit downstairs, in the explicit porno sections, and stand there and stare at people. And they would come forward and complain and say, "Hey, look, why are these old people standing here? You know, it's creepy, blah, blah." And they would go back and they wouldn't be there.
God,
That's real.
Giving you the guilt trip.
Okay. So Larry Muntz comes in and he does his thing with his team. I mean, he came here every like Friday or Saturday for like 6 weeks and was exploring stuff. And what Larry Muntz was saying, Dr. Muntz was saying, that especially with a block like this, you have housing next door going this way and you get housing there, okay? One of those buildings next to me over here was actually a hospital. Hospitals were a different kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know, in the 1890s or whatever. Hospital, people die.
Yeah.
People lose their way. That's what Larry Muntz was saying. So he said, you're going to have occasionally a lost soul walking up and down the block that are going through. But Larry's whole take was, he said, he didn't believe my father was here. He didn't believe my grandfather was here. He didn't believe, even though these people saw my great, allegedly would be my great-grandfather,
Yeah.
he wasn't here either. What Larry Muntz said was, it was my great-grandmother, her name was Annie, and he said, she was here checking on me. Because I'm living here, she's showing up checking on me. Now, let's go even weirder than that.
Has she been in this building too? I'm assuming
Obviously she
because like
would have
your
been. Obviously
great
she would have
grandpa
been.
built
Right,
it.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of my relatives. Like I should have sent you the picture.
Yeah.
My great-great-grandfather, Joseph Gessman, who was a farmer and a cowboy in San Bernardino, and he committed suicide in '86. He was the 400th person to be buried at Hollywood forever. Moving a little more forward, on the Sahara Cafe that's moving, they've been here for 36 years, I talked to the son of the owner of that business, and I started talking about ghosts, and he gave me the same routine. What are you talking about? He talks to the workers there, and he's talked to them. They call her La Señorita. That's what they call her, La Señorita. And she spies on it.
Oh, it's neat.
She watches them. She watches them.
What is like?
In the back, she's just watching them.
What
They
is-
see a shadow pass. She's a lady. Or they will have a feeling,
It's just
and
the
they'll
woman in
turn, and
black?
she's looking around the corner, and then she'll pull back.
The whole thing is that he didn't tell me, I didn't tell them, they didn't tell me, and we all come out with the same thing.
All your stories are paralleling.
Collective.
It's the same shared experience. Yeah.
East-West players. We're at the old Union Church. There's ghosts in there too.
I just investigated. They have Andy, the technical director, has a Excel, like a length-long Excel spreadsheet of full body apparitions. And Tanya went in to go read, and everything that she read before they shared their stories matched perfectly.
Well, it gets better. Next door, Mrs. Wong, Chinese woman. I knew her for 40 years. Same routine. I show up. She was a tough woman. 6th grade education, spoke 5 languages. 6th grade education, 5 languages. Multi-millionaire, made it all herself. Dragon Lake, right? And the day I walked over there and said the same thing. Hey, do you have ghosts in here? And she starts screaming at me. Get out! Get out! And she throws a fit. And then I go, well, what are you doing, Mrs. Wong? What are you doing? You know, like that. And she says to me, when my tenants tell me they're ghosts in there, I give them their money back and tell them to leave. So that place is haunted too. It's really interesting. But these are some of the older buildings in the city.
They are. This whole area is very old, and I know that the basement of the Japanese museum over there has a story as well. They see a woman in a white kimono but no legs. So it's very interesting to see like what people are seeing and what time of the days. It seems like it's not happening at the same time.
No, it's different times. So see, that's important. Larry Muntz said if you're only seeing something at night, it's not a ghost. It's not an apparition.
What is it?
It could be a residual. It could
Right.
be
Stone
whatever.
tape, yeah.
But it's not like a haunted.
Yeah.
But it's different times. I've had it happen in the morning. I've had it happen in the afternoon. And the one thing that I haven't had it happen is at night. One last story.
Interesting.
Okay. So I'm in the middle of a divorce. And when you're an old goof, this is 20 years ago, almost 18 years ago, I get the young Latina girlfriend, right? And she's sleeping in the back. She's sleeping in the back, and I gotta leave. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I leave, right? So when I come back, she says to me, "Oh, did you forget something?" And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" She goes, Did you come back before this? After you left, you immediately came back?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You're not going to believe this." But she said, you left. Door shuts, I heard it. Heard your car. And I felt somebody put their hand on my face like this. And she said, "I really didn't open my eyes because I just thought it was you patting me, doing something else." And then she said, a few minutes later, she opened her eyes. I wasn't there, whatever. Larry Muntz said, same thing. Great-grandmother, just kind of telling the girl, "You're a nice girl."
That was my first instinct. It wasn't like a man being creepy. I think it was like your great.
Seems like it was sincere.
Yeah, being very, very sincere. So that's the stuff that is transpired here. And he's got a million of them too. He had workers that didn't want to work here
I know.
when we were cleaning this place up.
When you have a worker that,
Really mad when I started cleaning. They were fucking pissed. They were mad.
well, when you're disrupting their space, it happens in a lot of older spaces that get renovated. Something gets stirred up and it's awakened, and it's like, what are you doing? It's a shock to whatever energies are here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's more to this. So here's my actual take to this. If I was still staying here, I would say this was the most comfortable place that I ever lived in my life. Like I belong here because my family had been. I belong here, okay? Where I'm living in the valley really is the place. I've been there for 10 years now. It's the place that I belong because I got the horses behind and my dogs and cats in the yard. And, it's like not living in the city of LA.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And like that. But somebody said to me when this was all going on, including some big nonprofit guys in Little Tokyo, we've had conversations because they've had experiences too. Aren't you afraid to be in this building? And my statement was, why would I be afraid to be here if my relatives are the ones that are wandering around in here?
Right.
Okay. They're loving me because I'm keeping this place.
Yes.
Okay. You are. I'm breathing new life into it. He's breathing with his business, breathing new life into this place.
Special.
Exactly. It's special. I'm keeping it. It's not getting torn down. So
Yeah.
No way. I think a lot of these, is this building protected too
they're yes.
it has to be. You
National
can't-
Historic Landmark.
Yeah, it has to be protected. They can't do anything.
Well, we're happy you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is awesome.
And when we came in here, I mean, we were pulled mainly to this back area. But based on a lot of the stories, it doesn't seem like nothing here wants to hurt you. It just seems like there's different full body apparition accounts. One of them is a constant story of a little girl and I think it's an older or younger black woman that is seen with her. Is that correct?
The younger girl is Japanese. I knew her. Larry Muntz came up with a name for her.
Interesting.
She died. Allegedly, she died in one of the buildings over here.
Okay.
And she would come when they would be doing with their research and stuff. She would be showing up and just tell you something that was really creepy. So Larry Muntz had some people. He had a whole team with him, like 15 people. They got cameras in their machines and whatever. And Larry is saying, the little girl is here. She's right next to me. And as he's saying that, I feel something right here, cold as an iceberg. And I go, no, Larry, she's standing right next to me. She's touching me. And he goes, yeah, you're right. So she was around too, but allegedly she was like 6, 7 maybe.
Okay.
Then you've got another thing that worked with this, Azusa Street Revival. Pentecostal movement.
Not
was founded
familiar.
here in Little Tokyo. You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
1906. Between 2nd and 3rd Street, along San Pedro, where that little plaza is, there's a plaque in there. William Seymour, he's buried at Evergreen also. Blind in one eye, itinerant black minister. He's going from place to place, to different places, and the power of God is falling. People are falling out, speaking in tongues. This is where this really came from. Originally Charles Finney, I think, in Kansas, but it happened here, Azusa Street. And they would throw him out. He would be renting places, and things would go so crazy, the landlords would toss him out. So my great-grandfather, in an in-between time, let him use this place for a very short period of time. That's where the African-American people are coming from. It's not during World War II when the African-American community came back in here.
Bronzeville.
These people that are marching around in here were Azusa Street revival people.
And here we're thinking that it was
Mel
the time.
Robeck, Dr. Mel Robeck, Fuller
Okay.
Theological Seminary.
Right.
Mel talks to me over the years a lot, and Mel wanted to know about it. What's so crazy is you also had Rabbi Gold, who was somehow connected to my family, but he was in a different building, who decided that he was going to be a Christian Jew and do so. So that's in this mix. There was a lot going on here, but that's in the mix also. Rabbi Gold and
There's a lot.
he didn't. By the way, Dr. Mel Robeck did not want to hear about ghosts because he's a Christian. He
Well, of
doesn't
course
want to hear
not.
it.
No. But that's really interesting because we thought that she was connected to when this was a supper club back in the 40s, back in that era when this was Bronxville. I don't know if you can remember or if I'm wrong, but someone told me that there was a fire in this location in the 30s. Is that
that I know of.
not that you know of? Okay.
No.
He was a part of the Walking Ghost tour that they would do in October, and he said that there was a fire here, in either in this building or the next.
Might have been the next. I don't know of a fire.
Okay.
And I've been through the raft. I've done everything in here. I've seen no signs of a fire.
Okay.
Maybe it was one of the buildings around.
Probably. But that was very interesting that they brought that up too. But that makes sense. Like there was that Pentecostal movement that happened not too far away.
Well, not too far away. Not only was it, the main part of it was like a block and a half away.
Yeah.
But you had them here. On
Exactly.
this street, in this building.
So that makes a lot of sense. It also a place of spirituality.
Yeah.
To a certain
Would
extent.
be an attraction.
Yeah.
Larry Muntz, was he part of the UCLA program?
Yeah, exactly.
The parapsychology program. And that
Then he
has
moved
died
to-
out.
He just moved to New Orleans. And I never heard from him again, so
Oh.
that's the deal with that. So,
That is so. How long? When was it that he came here? What do you remember? What year?
2007.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Wow.
Wow, so has it really been investigated?
Well, that's really good. Well, we had a parapsychologist that came in here, which is really awesome. That came in with these stories and can validate, what was here.
His team actually said this was the friendliest haunted property that they had ever been to.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It doesn't feel creepy, and it doesn't. I mean, like I said, the plate flying and stuff like that. There was, like weird, like, am I on drugs?
No.
And somehow somebody slipped drugs to,
Yeah.
or the bookcase falling over. Because there was nobody on it. I wasn't touching it. It stood there for 5 years, and then just all of a sudden it goes over, and it was like, this is a sign,
Do you think that it's a way of them telling you that they're here or to calm down?
Well, I think in that particular case, okay. Larry thought that what happened was, I was here for a few years and had no apparitions. Everything was cool.
Okay.
I introduced the cats into the house or into the property, right?
Mhm.
And Larry said he thought that she hated cats. She wasn't into them. So she reared her head like, hey, what do you think you're doing? All these cats are in here. They're bothering me. And so she was sending messages. And then he said later that she evidently made peace with them. And when I threatened to put them to sleep, she let it be known that she didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So that was his take.
Really crazy.
It's wild.
Just got like a little different in here, like 2 minutes.
How so?
It just feels like a little more like quiet, a little heavier. Just my body just started to kind of hang a little bit. Just didn't feel like it was like 10 minutes ago when people were in here and the music was on. Like it feels like they're closing and maybe something is still here, like waiting to walk around. That's how I feel, but I'm not sure.
And there you have it. The one person that would tie everything together and would make sense of everything would be Tony. Tony knows the history and this location like the back of his hand. It started with his great-grandfather, who grew his business in the very beginning of the birth of this area. This location has seen so much, and I'm talking about Little Tokyo in general. It's been through so many things. Plus, the building has transitioned into many different types of businesses. The one thing that you didn't hear about earlier was the fact that when Little Tokyo turned into Bronzeville, Tony's building actually transitioned into a supper club. The second floor was actually a dance hall and after hours, kind of like dinner breakfast place for those who wanted to dance and eat and drink after hours. And could the apparition of the young black woman that is seen as Chihiro's be connected to that supper club? La Señorita. All right, so let's see what we have here. We have a full body apparition of a man that people have seen and felt in the back. We also have an apparition of a young black woman who is not only seen and felt in Tony's location, but also in the restaurant next door. Then we have the apparition of the little Japanese girl that is between the ages of 6 and 7 that has been seen by Zach's cousin. The shadow person, that is one that we're trying to figure out who that is connected to. And then we also have the apparition of the old couple, the older man and woman, whom Tony believes may have a link to him. We definitely know that the older woman is his great-grandmother. But there is another big chunk of evidence that Tony brought up. The hospital. The hospital that used to be located right next to his building. It is so true. With that comes a lot of tragedy and death and passing. Could a lot of these energies be connected to what was once located next door? And then you have the many businesses that came and went. All that emotion, all that energy could be all absorbed in this land, within the wooden floors, the ceilings, and the beams. The one thing I need to look more into is the fire. One of my friends had taken a tour, a ghost tour a while back of Little Tokyo, and he told me that there was a fire in one of these buildings, not specifically in Tony's, but around Tony's building was a tragic fire. This area is one of the most active areas, not just Tony's building, but this entire street of First Street in downtown Los Angeles is just one big haunted melting pot filled with activity. You don't even have to give it time for it to manifest. It manifests whenever it wants in front of you, as though it wants you to know that they are still here and that they will always be here. And now we approach the final chapter of part 1, Tanya Mercado, our psychic and medium. Now, just to preface, we never tell Tanya anything. She doesn't want to know anything. Not even the address, not even the location, not even any stories connected. Whether they're good or bad, haunted or not, she doesn't want to know anything. Not to mention if she had a chance to find out about any hauntings here, it's kind of difficult. Granted that not a lot of these stories are shared or even published. Tanya is only given the location details closer to the time that she is expected to arrive. And upon her arrival, right when she stepped past the threshold of this building, she was instantly hit in many directions, psychically. And it just wasn't connected to the building. It also is connected to Tony and Zach. Let's hear what her final readings are.
You told me when you came up the stairs, like you were already hit with something.
Well, I don't know. When I was walking up the stairs, like to come up here, first I got the impression that this is not what it was before. Like it was something else. Like the space was not what it was. They kept telling me not what it was. And then like when I came over here, so at first I thought that you were the owner of the building, right? Of this space. But then when I stood over there, there's a energy that came, that's a male, that told me you're not the owner. There's another owner. And that owner, there's a male presence with them, like a father, but this is from a long time ago. And then this person told me that even though we're in Chinatown, they're not Asian at all. And then they gave me this idea that like there was a presence of a woman here, but it was kind of hard because there was a presence of a woman with him too. But there was a presence of a woman But more still than the woman, there's the energy of that man who's telling me that like either this building or this space was owned by a family and then it was handed down. And then they also told me that there is like energy kind of like trapped in here from different things. I don't know if something happened on those stairs, but there's like something I don't know how to explain it to you. There's like something in the floor. Something happened on the floor. But I wasn't able to go that way because I was trying not to hear you guys at all.
Right.
But they did tell me that it's not a like malevolent presence. It's not anything like that. It's just energy that has stayed here. One, the man who owned it, who says his family owned it, who's felt that, he's like, this is mine and I'm just not going to go anywhere. Like, this is mine. So whatever you do, I really don't give a shit, is how he is. But I mean, he's not rude or anything. He's just kind of like, no.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, this is
Just
mine.
as long as this is standing, I'm standing here with
Correct. He's not going to go anywhere. But then behind that gentleman is a woman who is somehow related to him also, that also had something to do with this building before it was this. So before it was this, I see like the same thing over and over, but I can't tell what it is. At first, I thought it was sewing machines. At first, I thought they made something, but it's like the same thing over and over, over and over, over and over. It's like if I have the same seating arrangement over and over. I don't know if that makes sense. Also, you have to be the person who owns this place. Those people are related to you, right? That's your father or grandfather or uncle?
It would probably further back.
Further back? Okay, because these people, because you're tall, but the person who I see was a little thinner than you, but you guys look the same in the eyes.
It's my great grandfather.
You guys
exactly like him.
You look the same.
It was a little.
You look the same in the eyes, and he's not like he's just kind of like, it's mine, like whatever, you know, like very like he's older.
That light turned on right when you were talking about his
He's
grams.
older, so he kind of doesn't understand a lot of things because it's not in his era, is what he's telling me. He's like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess this is it, right? But your family immigrated here from like Europe or came from somewhere else because you guys were not originally from here. Because I see a boat, a ship, like the Pilgrims, that means you came from somewhere else. And that's what I see because they have to make it relatable to me. So I see that a lot. The other thing that happens here is you have so many people here who have like their own spiritualities that they also come together.
How?
Like you have your family that is here, very present here, but your family kind of goes home with you too. You feel things everywhere almost, I want to say. Like, oh, I'm in the car, I'm not by myself. Oh, I'm at home, there's something going on. Oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. And then you have a lot of family members who are trying to come through, like even people who passed away younger.
What's the message from that person? I've been waiting for this.
You're going to have to give me a little because it doesn't always come back clearly, but you have like somebody who passed away younger who's trying to tell you something, like some unresolved thing that you have going on, like something. But then you have the spirit of somebody with you who's like a grandfather also, for like a father. I want to see either a father, grandfather, but your person comes through to me not being here, not being in this land. Somebody who died in another land. But that person is with you. That person was a mujeriego. You know mujeriego?
I know exactly in history.
That person was a mujeriego. Yeah, and he gets very close to you too. Yeah. Yeah, he gets very...
He was a firefighter, very good looking guy.
And very...
18 kids. My mom didn't know she was 16.
And he was very dapper. He tells me, very dapper, like hats, like very put together. You know, there's people who are not put together, and then he comes through and tells me like not all like Hispanics wore cowboy hats. He wore like fedoras, and he was very put together. That spirit is with you.
Every time you make a confirmation, the light goes off. It's so interesting.
I'm like,
it's like this one went off when you talked about a family member of his, and then this one
but
went
you
off.
have a lot of family members who want to come through because you have your own spirituality. You're kind of you're kind of like an enigma, huh? Like I don't think people would think you're as spiritual as you are, but you have a lot of things going on with you. I don't know what happened here. I don't know what this was before. I don't know who came here, but the person who's with you is telling me like, oh, there's like a history here. There's this, there's that, there's this. And right away, he was very quick to tell me that this was not owned by Asian people. Like, I'm in Chinatown, but this was not owned by Asian people.
I'm a little Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, no, like I was in the back over here before when I was talking to you, and he was like, no, that's not what happened. No. What happened?
Nothing. I said they all look alike, you racist fuck. That's why I whispered it, all right? Go ahead, Chinatown.
They're letting you know you're like a waiter in my home. But he was very quick to tell me that it was not owned by, that it was like a family. But it's like I can't see what it is. It's like this room, without that, the succession of something over and over and over again here. I don't know what it was.
Those wagons.
Okay. It's like
Lifted wagons up here, paint them, work on them. There was a crane in the back and they rolled them out. There were three.
I couldn't figure it out. I'm like,
What year was that?
what the?
1882 to probably 1903, maybe.
Because I wanted, but it was still it was.
Cooperative carriage. Still is.
Wow. Okay, because you know what these people are the man, even though he's very nice, he's very matter of fact with me. Like very like he didn't take well to stupid people. And he was very good with numbers. And I feel like that person who did the carriage thing was like the starting point for your family. Like because of that person. He was very good with numbers, and he didn't have the best temperament, I'm not gonna lie. Like right now he's dead and he's okay, it's been a long time, but he's very like, don't be dumb. Yeah, like, don't be dumb. I don't know how to explain it anymore. Like,
He's very type A, in other words. He's just very...
But very organized.
Yeah.
And did you feel the floor move?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I was like, what was that?
I mean, it is a sensitive floor.
Because they
It
keep
really
telling me
is.
that there's something in the floor, like something with the floor. So I'm like, why is the floor moving? I don't know.
I'll throw one. My girlfriend is Chinese. She's in her 50s. We've been together for like 8 years. Before he moved in here, we had different things going on here. We're doing stuff. And she's very opinionated. And she goes outside and says, your grandfather, she meant great-grandfather, but in English it was grandfather, and said, he said to you, your exact same words. I didn't say this to anybody here. Don't be stupid. That was a message that came, how it went to this woman, I have no idea. And every time she would come here, hey, I'm getting a message from your grandfather, don't be stupid.
Yeah, he's very like, don't be dumb. Don't be, I mean, I'm, paraphrasing. But did something happen here where somebody got hurt, passed away? Did something happen here?
I don't think so. I think that there were 300 wheelchairs stored here for Johnny Erickson Tata, for Wheels for the World, that were donated. Some of those people, I know one for particular that died, and that's how the wheelchair got sent here. Okay? So it could be that there was some connection at one point, and then the wheelchair was transferred to a factory and redone and distributed. It could be that, but as far as I know, nobody died here, nobody...
It feels like, this is going to sound stupid, but...
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. He's like, stop. Because he keeps telling me something and I'm like, no. But your family lineage goes back very far. Like, there was people in your lineage who, like, died of diseases that are no longer around. Like, dysentery, tuberculosis, things like that is what he's telling me. He's telling me that he had it was a rough go in the beginning, and he was very tooth and nail, right? And, but he's also telling me that besides this, they talk a lot about inheritance to me, but inheritance is different to me. It's not material. Inheritance is spiritual to me. A lot of spiritual inheritance has stayed with you. I don't know why are you the only kid or something? No, you're not. but it just stayed with you. You're not the only kid, but it just stayed with you. In your younger years, you were very hard-headed like him too. You're even a little hard-headed now, but less, right? But that's what he's telling me. Yeah, that's what he's telling me. But it feels like you have like an inheritance from your family members that is not only this building they want me to tell you, but you have a spiritual inheritance from them. And he's very like, you've made some decisions that were a little shaky, is how he says it, but not like that. But he says that he's with you and he's going to help you and guide you. And that's a spirit that's always going to be with you. That's that particular spirit. That was on your mother's side? Is this person on your mother's side? Your father's side? Has your mother passed?
No, they're gone.
Everybody's gone, right? Because you also have siblings that are gone.
Yeah.
Because besides him, there's a woman who I feel like a mother energy around you or a grandmother. It might not be your mother because the where she's standing is like mother, grandmother. And then there's another energy that's like younger that I can't really get the message for you yet. But that spirit also, I might get the message for you later and tell you privately because that spirit says that it's something very personal to you. So sometimes I can't read the room, I read the people, so that's what happens with me.
Wow. Awesome.
Do you feel like there are a lot of correlations with what Tanya just shared?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good.
Absolutely.
Tanya,
These are people that had very rough lives.
Very. They were, he keeps telling me like tooth and nail, like people who, you know what he shows with. So spirits have to put things in perspective for me. They have to use things from my own life. So in Cuba, they make a soup where they throw a rock in it when there was no food and they would boil the rock. So he shows me that. So that means that your ancestors passed through hunger and they passed through a lot of things. And then they were able to establish something, but it was very tooth and nail. And then there was inner problems within your own family when that happened too. And it was very like tumultuous for a little bit, you know, and very, and he also tells me that it's very ironic that you are the one who's here. I don't know why. I don't know if it's maybe you didn't want to take, I don't know, but like he's like, oh, you know, he's stuck with me. I'm stuck with him. Like, this is what we're doing. So something happens in your house where you live. Something spiritual happens in your home where you live. Either you feel something or you see something from the side of your eye.
I see that all the time.
It's not negative though. And you know, it's not negative, but it's it's the same spirits that are around you that, they're very enlightened because some of them passed so long ago. They're very enlightened. You have a dog?
Many.
Yeah, because I want to tell you, I see you, and I don't know where you live, but I see that you have quite a yard or something, because I see a lot, and then I see dogs. And sometimes you're like, the dogs are better than the humans, because the dogs, I mean, they're cool. Like, I agree with that.
yes.
But I see you, and there's like a lot of dogs.
You mentioned you have an animal rescue, right?
Correct. Oh, shit.
So I see you with a lot of dogs.
The beginning of this month was the 200th birthday of my great grandfather,
Amazing.
who died in 1907 at the age of 86. I'm a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yeah, you have a lot of,
He was a tough dude. There are newspaper articles. They have shooting people.
Yeah,
He was a cowboy. He was a rough and tumble boy.
Yeah, you have a lot of, for lack of a better word, you have a lot of very manly men in your family. And the women, forget the men, the women were tough as nails.
Mother's side.
They were tough as nails. Like, they're like, because when I talk to you, there's people trying to come through, and then like that man like moves back, and then there's a woman, and she's like, yeah, he's great and all, but you should have seen us. Like, we really kept it together. Like, I'm going to tell you how they tell me. We didn't put up with shit. Like, we're not going to put up with your shit. Like, but they're not people who cuss. But they're telling me, like, we're not going to put up with this. Like, we knew what we had to do, and we did it. And that was it. And then my new friend here has somebody with him. The kids who were here, I asked them when they were sitting over there if they were your stepchildren. And one of them told me he was. But he has a grandmother with him. And I don't know if on your wife should look into whatever part of Mexico or whatever they were from, because I pick up like a curandero vibe from them, or somebody que hacía this, or somebody que quitaba this empacho, something with him. So I don't know what the situation is in the back. But there's something in the back. Like when I went to the bathroom, when I walked into the bathroom, I was looking for the light because I didn't want to go in without the light. And I don't spook easily, like I've seen a lot of things. And I was like, where's the light? Where's the light? Where's the light? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, this place is weird right here. So there's something towards over there. I feel like if you guys have seen there's also the guy who does the leather. He's got like a good energy about him. And he has somebody with him too that's a male.
Next time we come, I'll bring you where I think you're staying is downstairs. Get ready.
Why get ready?
I don't know.
I'm a why. No vengo. No.
Is it possible for you just to take her real quickly, just to do a quick reading? Okay.
Let's do it another time and get ready.
Get ready. Okay.
When you tell me to get ready, you scare me.
What did you see in that little, or what happened?
It's pretty.
It's down the stairs.
When you go in, you feel something.
They were seeing a man in there. You've seen the prior tenants saw a man in that mezzanine multiple times. One of my girlfriends.
One thing before, right? Instead of like right now, you guys are upstairs. But this building was one whole thing before. Before it was separated. Like it was upstairs, downstairs, one whole thing. Right? Yes. And then you guys have now separated it. And now there's like storage or whatever downstairs and whatever. But this used to be one whole thing, right?
Yes.
So they seen a man down there or a shadow?
Sitting there looking at him. It was dark. And they used it for storage. And then when they were evicted, because the owner got thrown out of the country, it was a nightmare. We were cleaning it out. My girlfriend at the time, Shelly, had a dog, and the dog kept going up into the mezzanine, and she's talking. I thought she was talking to the dog, and I later come to find out she was talking to the spirit. And then some people that had worked there showed up at 2 o'clock in the morning one time. Again, we're still cleaning it out. One of the guys who was with him said, I want to see with the ghosts, and I thought it was a joke. And then they came and started talking, and everything was very clear.
I want to tell you that I haven't seen like a man who's like negative. I've seen like the before bar with you guys, but like as far as like dark entity, I see there's a woman who like kind of walks over here. There's like something going on over here, like a woman. But people they swear they're gonna say she's like ethereal, like it was like almost see-through. It was very like, lack of a better, like very poltergeisty, like very like.
I think you told me that people have seen something right here in the window.
Yeah, some people that when we were about to close, one of my employees, so he's scared looking. They say that they lock and they go straight.
They go straight back.
Yeah, zig and.
When I usually hear about myself,
he runs out.
Tattoo late. This will all be up, and I try not to look that way. One, because you have mannequins over there that I'm like, I'm gonna see something one day, and I know I'm gonna see something one day, and it's gonna freak me out and just change like the whole attitude. Yes, to like getting a bit uncomfortable. Because I know that it's in one of those two windows on the far right.
I had a lady that with two girls came in, and the little girl started crying that she had a headache, intense. So she came up to me, "You're the owner?" "Yeah." "Because you need to do something about your place. There's something here. My daughter can feel it. We have to leave." "Oh, okay." But she was being rude to me. I'm like, okay. You need to bring somebody to bless your place, and they left.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe when I go downstairs at another time, I'll tell you if there's something negative, but I don't feel anything negative. I feel what happens here, the way that I, like, spiritually, it's not by accident that all of you are together. And there's a lot of spirits that have a commonality here. There's like a common thread with spirits here. So somebody... Like in life, somebody always wants to be the boss.
Yeah.
So they go back and forth about who's going to be the boss here. Spiritually, not with you. Spiritually. I would.
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. We heard something as Tanya was talking.
Something got dragged.
I saw like a cart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know another thing? There was a guy that was renting from him downstairs. There was a mini mart. And he used to call me, and I'm in Vegas, I'm in whatever. Why are you guys running around? Why are you guys jumping around the stairs and all that? And I'm like, dude, we're not even there. It's closed. We're like in Vegas, a holiday. And he was complaining. I used to tell him, this guy's an asshole. He's always complaining about people, say, ignore him. He's old.
Drop ceiling in the back. He would sleep sometimes. He had a home, but he would sleep sometimes in the back of the business. He calls me and says, how is Zach getting down into my business? And I go, Zach's not getting down into your business. He goes, there's a trap door. I said, dude, there's no trap door to go into your business. What are you talking about? He says, you've got to, next time you got to come here. See the drop ceiling? The drop ceiling was pulled up and moved over. And the guy said nobody was alive. He locked the room.
The floor is the original floor. That's what they're trying to tell me. The floor is one of the few things that has not changed. The floor, this floor. And the ceiling, but they're like the floor. Which goes with what you said that you could hear people. I don't think it's necessarily negative. I think that it's just there's people like jockeying for position. And like right now, there's like a lot of people trying to talk at the same time. So you would have to do like multiple visits to figure out who's saying what. You know what I mean? Because what happens is like they know that I can hear them, so then everybody talks to me at once, and then it's crazy. It gets crazy because then there's things that are like specific to you, to him, to. But you guys are very interesting. You guys are an interesting like coupling of people to do business. You guys are very interesting because you look very calm, but I don't feel like you were calm all the time. And I feel like life has made you like maybe calmer now because the way that they show me things is like.
That was a bad guy.
Yeah, they're like, he was not.
I'm going to tell you something. He gave me like a second chance. I would have been in prison, handicapped, or dead. He told me, you're going to have this place. Do what I used to do, because he know me before. I used to deal with high-end designers. I used to work in the fashion industry. And he saw the potential to say, you know what, you can do this place.
That's why they're telling me that. They're like, this is an interesting couple.
But I was a bad person. But I love this place. This is home. I feel really comfortable. I'm not scared.
No.
And I'm here a lot,
Yeah, I don't think you would be scared because half the people running around are yours. Like they have to do with you. And then the other half have to do with him. And then since you guys are such an interesting like business compatibility, like it's very the way that they tell me things is like he took a risk with you. So then you try to take a risk with people too. Like, let's see what you do. I'm gonna let you do this.
I help a lot of people.
Yep, that's what they're telling me. So I think the fact that you guys are here together and now you're here and now I think that it's like energy wise it's a good coupling, but you guys are gonna have all kinds of weird shit happen.
The people that are here, the little collaborating, they have nothing. He can tell you how, just like he helped me to build something, and we're huge, we're big, we're blessed. They're blessed too.
That's good.
They're doing really good, and it makes me happy.
That's good.
And I get blessed, and thanks to him.
Yeah, I don't feel like a negative, like a negative energy. I don't feel that even when I walked up, like my heart went fast, but that's usually because a lot of people want to tell me something at the same time.
Oh, the stairs, that's what.
The stairs.
Garden.
And stairs. I hate stairs.
Everyone's out of breath.
I hate stairs. No, but it was like weird because right when I got here, I even started talking to the people who work for you because I was like, talk to me so that I can hear what he's saying. So they were talking to me and I was asking them, oh, what do you guys think of like this and that? But there's definitely like an energy.
Oh, one thing that really scares me, and I run up when I have to close the door from the inside, and I turn off the light, and there's the 2 mirrors, and it's dark. I want to put a light up here, so I turn it up. When I'm up here already, I feel like I don't want to look.
Oh, mirrors are a portal.
I don't want to look.
Mirrors,
Yeah, I don't want to look. I don't want to look.
I would move a mirror because
So I'll just run.
they have nowhere to go. They have like, that's why people in a lot of different customs cover their mirrors. Jewish people cover their mirrors. Like, we cover our mirrors. Like, it's just.
I was telling her I'm not scared of a gang member, a biker. Bring them on. I don't care. I've done it all. But I'm scared of a little thing moving. It scares the shit out of me, man.
You didn't hang out with him. He hears things moving all the time. He's like, yeah, par for the course.
Anything. If I hear something, I get scared. If I Hell's Angels pointing guns at me, I'm like, bring it on, dude. Put that gun down. I'm gonna take a patch.
Yeah, you've seen things.
You know.
And I thought we have.
That shit scares me.
I'm psychic and I get scared.
No, sometimes I get scared, but
I get scared. Not scared, but I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be fun. But I don't feel anything negative. I don't think that, but I do feel like, if you can, like if you feel like the energy is getting heavy, clean it spiritually however you're comfortable. Burn sage, throw cold water out the front door, something, because there's definitely a lot of people who want to communicate with you. And then I feel like, I don't know why I'm like drawn to you guys, both of you, family things and family spirits for both of you that have things to tell you that are they're personal. I'm very respectful of people's privacy, but they're not negative. They're not. They're just people who want to tell you maybe some things that were not said or things that were left unresolved, and like a lot of questions that maybe you had that they were not able to answer in life. I definitely think that places hold memories. Like this building holds memory, because even though we're here and I see how it is, this is not how you see it. Like if you could see it through me, this is not how I see it. The front is different. Everything is different, and it's very. When it was first here, it wasn't. They're telling me there wasn't so much stuff. Like it wasn't so close together. So it was like something here and then something over there, but not like right now. We're back to back to back to everything. Right? It wasn't like that. It's just, I do think that places hold a memory and things hold a memory.
Memories are not just fleeting moments, but vivid and haunted reels. Like a video cassette player that play on a never-ending loop in our minds. They are like films about ghosts, echoing through our consciousness with their lingering presence. Just like the eerie atmosphere over at Space City Vintage. You see, memories have the power to transport us back in time, reliving the past as if it were happening all over again. Every detail is etched into our minds like a scene from an old movie, replaying itself with remarkable clarity. The emotions and sensations associated with these memories can feel all too real, eliciting a sense of nostalgia or even melancholy. In this way, memories hold great power over us, shaping who we are and fueling our desires for what once was and what could have been. And those memories are the ghosts that reside within the walls, the floors, even the ceilings of Space City Vintage. They're there letting us know that they're still there. We are still here. And we're not going anywhere. A big thank you to Zach Vargas of Space City Vintage and Tony Sparrow. Thank you so much for allowing us into your space, for telling us your stories and your experiences. Another huge thank you to our friends Ansley and Native Spooky Foodie, Martin Moreno, Martin the Comic, Tanya Mercado, Zachariah the Witch, and Matt Lytle. If you love this episode and love Hollywood Paranormal, then let us know on Apple Podcasts. Rate us and give us a review. You can also message us, leave us comments on the post in regards to part 1 of Haunted Vintage. Have you been to Space City? Did you ever experience anything here? Just let us know in the comments or drop us a message. Also, stay tuned for part 2. That will be released in a couple of days. That one is the actual investigation, and boy, does it get pretty intense and emotional. But it doesn't stop there. We're going to do another 2-parter of our investigation a year later, next door in Shahiros. That one gets pretty wild and eerie. Okay, friends, we are hoping that you're having one hell of a fabulous October, and we're also hoping that if you're listening to this may be a day before Halloween, 2 days, or even on the day of Halloween, that you have one hell of a spectacular Halloween, and we would love to see pictures of your costumes. Okay, friends, stay classy, stay spooky, but most of all, stay Holly weird. Till next time, friends, and happy Halloween.